So I just finished sharing with you the story about how my business went from $47,000 a month all the way down to $6,000 per month practically overnight. And I am sure you're curious, okay, Nicole, when that happened, how did you recover? How did you pivot? How did you reinvent yourself? So I'd like to share that story with you today, if that's all right with you. So when that happened in our business, as you may know, we are missionaries in Puebla, Mexico, and we're living in Mexico. And when our business went from $47,000 a month all the way down to $6,000 per month, I thought, wow, I don't know how I'm going to recover from this. I don't know how we are going to provide for our family next month. We have all of these business expenses, the $6,000 a month, it doesn't even cover the business expenses, much less our family expenses. So what we did is we ended up having to pick up our entire family of our 7 kids and go to California. And we actually lived there for a year while we tried to figure out how can we rebuild this business from scratch. Yes, it was that much of an impact in our lives. We actually had to physically pick up and go back to the United States for a whole year while we figured this out. And what people had always said to do when you're trying to get new clients is say, well, go speak at live events. Because if you speak at live events, then you're going to be able to get business. So I thought, well, that's what I'll do. I have experience speaking at live events. People always give me great feedback about how great of a speaker I am. What I'm going to do is I'm going to book as many meetings as I can over the next 12 months while I'm in the States, where a plane ticket is only a few $100 or $100, whereas from Mexico at the time, a plane ticket to any city in the States was $400 or $500 per ticket. If I'm physically in the United States, it's going to be much easier and faster to get to all of these different live events. They also said that if you're trying to, if you're trying to build your business, well, then you should network. They always say that saying, your network is your net worth. And so what I did is I went on to the site, if I remember right, it's Eventbrite, where you can find, maybe it's not Eventbrite, I don't remember what it is right now, but a site where it tells you about all of the different, meetups, that's what it is, meetup.com. So I went on to meetup.com and I looked for all of the different local events in the San Diego area. I got online and I found all of the different types of conferences that were going to be coming up in the next year. A lot of them that had a low cost entry fee, maybe $100 deposit, or maybe you didn't even have to pay anything. You could just go to the live event. And if you showed up, you got your $100 deposit refundable fee credited back to you. And I also submitted speaker applications at industry events, at OMX, I can't even remember, PubCon, the one in Seattle with Rand Fishkin. I don't remember the name of that event up there, but I submitted speaker applications at big industry events for the whole, and I got accepted. My speaker pitches, they got accepted, and I was able to go speak at different events throughout the whole year. And what I did is I went on to my Facebook profile and I found any friends, anyone at all that was in the San Diego area. And I contacted them and I said, hey, can I take you out to lunch? I'd like to talk to you. And we took a lot of people out to lunch, especially in the first 3 months. Basically contacted everyone, said, hey, I'm going to be in the area. I'd love to meet up and take you out to lunch. And basically everywhere I went, this was definitely a mistake, but I came across as desperate for business. And that is the opposite of what you need to do, is if you really need business, is to come across as desperate. But I was desperate. We were looking for a way of how can we rebuild our business very quickly so that we can come back to Mexico and continue to serve as missionaries. And so what I did is I found these meetups, and the meetups, there was like different types of meetups all over in the San Diego area. I would try to go to one every single day. I was pretty crazy. I would go to one. My husband thought I was crazy too. Sometimes I even went to 3 in one day. That was really crazy. But what I found is that all of these meetup events, they're filled with realtors, insurance salespeople, and financial consultants. All of them looking for clients. None of them had any money because these are free events. So of course, there's no money. No, the people that attend the free events, this is a tip for you, they don't have money. That's why they're going to free events. And everyone that's going to the free event is trying to network and find someone to sell their product or service to. So these free events were literally filled with realtors, with insurance agents, or independent consultants like Mary Kay, and financial advisors. Literally, that's who the people are at these different events. But I didn't give up because that's what everyone said you needed to do. So I would go to these live events, these meetups, and I would meet people and I would network. And of course, none of them had any money, so they couldn't hire me. But I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to pivot in my business? And then I would invite people out to lunch. So I would invite people out to lunch that were in my network on Facebook. And I actually met with people that were very successful business owners, successful coaches. And I would ask them, and I'd say, hey, this is what happened to me. What advice would you give me? And they all had their own advice, but none of it was like, and I tried to do everything they said, but most of the time what they said was, you should go be a speaker at live events, because if you're a speaker, people are going to look up to you as a speaker and then they're going to want to hire you. So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to now go submit for all of these speaking events. So I got accepted at speaking events like OMX, Online Marketing Summit. What I didn't realize was that at those speaking events, the people in the audience were not my target market. Because the people that attend these speaker events where people pay $1,500 or $2,000 to attend, I thought, wow, they're going to be paying $1,500, $2,000 to attend. They're going to have money. They're going to be able to hire me. What I didn't realize was that the people that were attending the events actually worked for large corporations. They're employees. They're not entrepreneurs. They weren't business owners. They weren't people that were looking to purchase services. If they wanted to purchase services, you'd have to go through an invoicing system, and you'd have to go through a proposal process and bid for the project and meet with maybe the CEO eventually. I was able to get in front of a couple CEOs. There was one time I was at an event in Seattle, and I finally landed an appointment to go pitch a company that was a few hours away, and so we headed on over there, and I was in the boardroom and I was pitching the CEO, and he's like, well, how is this any different than what these 5 other companies are doing? I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't any different. I was a commodity at that time. I was offering the same exact service as 5 other companies. And so I did not get that project either. And we'd already spent the money to fly up there and the time to make this proposal and in person. But that's what you needed to do if you were going to get business with a larger organization, with the bigger companies. They wanted to meet you in person at the time. So I realized after about the 4th live event that I was a speaker at, that this wasn't working. I was speaking at live events. Everyone loved my presentations. I'd have a line of people coming to talk to me afterwards that wanted to get more tips and advice, and they would fill out my email form to get a copy of my presentation into their inbox. And I was like, great, I'm building up my email list. I'm building up my credibility, building up my authority. Great, but no sales. Nothing. Till finally I met someone that completely changed my business. And this person said to me, they said, hey, you know what? I'm an Infusionsoft certified partner. Why don't you get certified also, and then I'll be able to refer business to you? I thought, sure, that sounds good. The problem was the next training wasn't until January or February. And we were in the States from June. So from June all the way until January or February, I was doing all of this stuff to try to build up the business again, all of the wrong stuff. I wish I'd had a coach or a mentor to tell me the right thing to do at the time, which was, get speaking engagements at events with people that are in the audience that are actually your target market that can buy from you, which are entrepreneurs, which are not employees of large organizations. I wish that someone had, told me that before, but that didn't happen. So, but anyways, you are now being told, so you can now learn from my mistakes that I made when I did that. And this this friend of mine, they said, you need to become an Infusionsoft certified partner. I said, great. The problem was I had bought Infusionsoft. This is a confession time. I had bought Infusionsoft since 2009, and this was about 2012, and I still did not even know how to use it. I had just been paying for it every single month in my business, thinking one day I'm going to learn how to use Infusionsoft and implement it in my business. Well, so I went to the training at Infusionsoft headquarters in Arizona to learn how to become a certified partner, thinking that the training that I was going to receive was going to teach me how to use the software. Surprise! They didn't teach you how to use the software. They teach you how to sell the software, which is what they're doing. They're building up their group of people that can be their sales representatives or independent sales representatives and earn commissions, which is what an Infusionsoft certified partner is, by the way. So if you've ever hired an Infusionsoft certified partner and then realized, why don't they know anything about Infusionsoft? It's because they haven't been trained on the actual software yet. So I got certified as an Infusionsoft certified partner, and my friend had a contract with Infusionsoft. And this contract was where every time back then when Infusionsoft sold a new application of Infusionsoft, they charged a very large setup fee, and then they would do what they called kickstart training for the person that had just signed up. Well, my friend had a contract with Infusionsoft, so Infusionsoft was outsourcing all of their Kickstart training to my friend. He was able to have me help him to fulfill on a lot of these new Kickstarts. So, February, brand new Infusionsoft certified partner, and now I'm on the phone talking to people about how to use Infusionsoft. Remember, I barely know how to use the software myself. Not a problem. So I'm on the phone calls, and usually it's very simple. A lot of these you have the same exact questions every single time about how to do the setup, how to upload contacts, how to create your basic templates. So there's a lot of things that was very, very basic. But occasionally I would have someone that would be more advanced, and they would ask me a question that I had no idea about, and they would say, well, how do you do this? And I say, you know what? No one has ever asked me that question before. I will find out, and I will get back to you next week. And they thought, wow, that's very helpful. Great. They felt smart too, because they're like, wow, no one's ever asked the trainer that question before. I asked an intelligent question. And I'm like, yes, because I'm brand new and I don't know anything about it, but I didn't tell them that. So I would find out the answer to their question, and then that next week I was able to explain it to them. And so as I was doing all of these training sessions, I actually trained over 100 new users of Infusionsoft and how to use Infusionsoft, which is 100 times 4, which is 400 hours of training time that I spent and training people on how to use Infusionsoft. By the time I was done training 100 people on how to use Infusionsoft, I became an expert of Infusionsoft, because I talked to information marketers, I talked to e-commerce experts, I talked to lawyers, we talked to dog trainers, we talked to pretty much any type of business out there. I talked to them on the phone, and each of them had a unique way that they wanted to use Infusionsoft for. And so I had to figure out, how can we use it for their business? And that became my training ground for how I was able to learn the software tool very quickly and help over 100 different people to get trained up. And then by the time that was over, I now was able to say, anyone need help with Infusionsoft? I got you covered, because now I had basically reinvented myself, pivoted my business from being a search engine optimization company into a marketing automation company, where I was now able to help my clients to launch new businesses, to grow, to automate, and to scale using Infusionsoft primarily as their CRM, which is their contact management system, their email marketing system, and their e-commerce platform. And so my advice to you is, your network is your net worth. None of that would have happened if I hadn't put myself out there and called up everyone in my network and said, hey, can I take you to lunch? That is, at the end of the day, what actually helped, was when I invited this friend and said, hey, can I take you out to lunch? And that partnership came out of that lunch meeting. And that is my advice to you. Never take for granted that your network. And don't feel that any time that you are investing in other people, where you're giving back to others, is a waste of time. It is absolutely helpful. When I first started this SEO company, the number one way that I would get customers is I would go on to the forums, and I would, the paid coaching program I was a member of, and I would just answer other people's questions. I was just giving back and being helpful to them. And that is what you can do. If you are in a place of your business and you're trying to figure out, something broke, and you're in a low place in your business and you need to get new business out there, reach out to your network, see how you can contribute to them, answer other people's questions, provide value, and put yourself out there. You never know what can happen from doing that.